The man slipped, almost falling. Just as Miles was about to land the final blow, the sun rose. He didn't strike. Instead, he helped Dodge up. The game was over. It turned out Dodge had joined a Squid Game. Every hour, his account gained 5 million, survived 24 hours in the city, and the prize would be 100 million. He blended into a crowded mall, then stepped into an elevator. As the doors were about to close, Miles reached in to stop them and got in. Through the elevator reflection, Dodge saw Miles staring intently at him. Realizing he was one of the hunters, Dodge quickly grabbed a pen from a nearby woman. When they reached her floor, Miles followed him out. Dodge relaxed a little. Not long after leaving the elevator, heavy footsteps sounded behind him. Miles was closing in. Dodge sprinted, rushing into a bathroom and hiding in the farthest stall, standing on the toilet and holding his breath. The next second, the door was kicked open. Miles, focused and determined, started making a call. Dodge seized the moment, pushed the door, knocking him over, and bolted. His phone buzzed. The second hour's money had arrived, but it also revealed his location. He raced to the subway station. Just as he reached the platform, Miles blocked his path. This time, Dodge didn't hide. He charged forward. At the last moment, he spun and slipped into a closing subway door. Miles angrily threw his weapon, but it stuck in the doorframe. The train slowly pulled away, and Miles could only watch helplessly as Dodge disappeared. The man stumbled, nearly losing his balance. Just as Miles was about to deliver the final blow, the sun rose. He held back. Instead, he reached out and helped Dodge to his feet. The Squid Game was over. It turned out he could win 5 million every hour, and after 24 hours, the top prize would reach 100 million. Dodge ran into the subway. Just as the doors were about to close, Miles lunged but missed, watching helplessly as Dodge got away. Finding a quiet corner, Dodge patched up his wounds. Then he walked towards the stadium, sneaking off with a jersey. The bald manager nearby didn't notice a thing, but Miles was closing in, tracking his location by phone. Dodge calmly put on the jersey, and right then the game ended. Crowds of fans poured out the doors. He quickly blended into the sea of people. Miles searched frantically, his eyes darting through the crowd, but Dodge had vanished. So he shouted Dodge's name, trying to draw him out. Suddenly, Miles thought he spotted him. He rushed forward, only to realize he had grabbed the wrong man. Frustrated, he climbed up high, scanning the arena, refusing to give up. At that moment, the bald manager spotted Dodge at once. They clashed in the middle of the crowd, drawing Miles's attention. Dodge tore off the jersey, pushed through the chaos, and slipped out of the arena. He ducked into the back of a small car, hiding in the trunk, once again escaping Miles's pursuit. The man is at the end of his rope. Just one more hit, and he'll be completely defeated. But the hunter stops. The sun rises, and the game is over. In this Squid Games, Doug automatically gets $5 million for every hour he survives within the city limits. He climbs into the trunk of a car to escape Miles, his pursuer. The car takes him to the harbor, where he boards a ferry. After confirming with a crew member that the ship won't leave the city, he decides to hide there. He sees food and water in the restaurant, and is desperate for a drink. But the crew member stops him, taunting that the hunt is designed to leave players thirsty. Doug collapses, realizing the crew member is a hunter, and a formidable one at that. Fortunately, Doug is quick to react, blocking her attack and fighting back. He flees to the deck, but she follows. The woman mocks him, asking how he's enjoying the game. She warns him that if he crosses the bridge ahead, he'll leave the city, and the game will never end. Doug climbs high, grabbing onto the bridge structure, but she climbs after him, closing in again. He keeps his cool and instinctively counters, defeating her with a single move. Back in the city, Doug worries his location is about to be revealed. His friend Roger finds him just in time. Without a second thought, Doug gets in the car. As Roger is about to take him home, Miles shows up again. To protect his friend, Doug makes a leap of faith, and Miles follows right after him. Faced with a desperate man at the end of his rope, any single blow could easily end his life. However, the hunter holds back, because at this moment, dawn has broken. It signals the end of the game. Doug, who is suffering from cancer, joined this Squid Games, which pays $50,000 per hour, hoping to leave money for his wife.
Oh my God.
He hides in the subway station. He slips onto the train in the final instant before the doors shut. Miles, his pursuer, is left empty-handed. He can only watch as Doug escapes. Doug arrives at a church and hides in a confessional booth. Suddenly, the small window slides open. The priest asks to hear his confession, but Doug chooses not to tell the truth. A figure appears outside the curtain, making Doug suspicious. He uses the curtain to pull the person outside down.
Stop that!
It turns out the person is just a regular churchgoer. The angry priest continues to try and bait information out of Doug. At this time, Doug's phone is about to expose his location. The priest continued to ask him,
See? Now they know where I am.
Actually, Dodge,
I've known where you are for some time now.
Doug attempts to escape, but he finds every exit is locked. Now he has no choice but to face the priest. Doug uses this chance to counterattack. Even after being tackled again, he manages to turn the tables. The priest is locked inside the room. In the end, Doug successfully gets away from the church. The man was cornered. One more hit and it would have been over, but the hunter stopped. The sun had risen. The game was over. Doug, a cancer patient, had joined a deadly survival game. For every hour he stayed alive, $5 million were automatically added to his account. His pursuer, Miles, was closing in fast. Not wanting to drag his friend Luger into danger, Doug jumped out of the car and fled the scene as quickly as possible, arriving at a nearby abandoned factory. But his phone betrayed him. His location was exposed again. The last three hunters converged on the site. The first to find him was Ben. They clashed violently, trading blows across the factory floor. Doug reacted quickly. The fight was over. Then Doug slipped. Before he could recover, a gun was picked up from the ground by none other than his friend Luger. Doug froze. Had his friend betrayed him too? But before the truth sank in, the female hunter behind them suddenly dropped to the floor. Luger had saved him. The two barely had time to breathe before Miles appeared again. Doug grabbed Luger and made a run for it. He yanked down a valve, releasing a stream of liquid across the floor. Then he flipped another switch. A spark ignited, the liquid burst into flames, and the factory exploded in a wave of fire. But Miles survived. He chased Doug all the way to the rooftop. Doug, exhausted and cornered, stood his ground as Miles charged, a screwdriver glinting in his hand. And in that final moment, Doug's foot slipped. He's forced to take part in a deadly survival game. Every hour he survives, he wins $50,000. After 24 hours, the prize is $100 million. His first hunter chases him into a baseball stadium. Victor hides under the seats, gripping his weapon tightly, heart pounding. The hunter's voice echoes through the arena, calm and taunting, before he suddenly hurls a bat toward Victor.
8, 9, 10. Row 10, section 114.
The impact gives away Victor's hiding spot. He hid in a construction area until the hunters cornered him.
You'll die where the legends roam. It's coming from the left, huh, pal?
A hook catches his shoulder, yanking him backward in pain. For a moment, Victor's in trouble, but old instincts kick in. He pulls out a blade, dodging blow after blow. The hunter mocks him, trying to break his focus, but his weapon suddenly jams. Victor sees his opening. The hunter thrashes, struggling to break free, but Victor doesn't look back. Moments later, the hunter soars through the rope, barely surviving. Meanwhile, Victor makes it onto a subway train, finally catching his breath. But just as the doors are about to close, a massive man blocks the entrance and steps inside.
Get off the train.
Every time Ladybug tries to step off the train with the briefcase, a mysterious opponent blocks his path. Ladybug is certain he's never met this guy before, but the stranger doesn't care. Despite his codename, Ladybug is actually the luckiest guy on Earth.
You stab me?
This drives his attacker absolutely insane. A confused Ladybug tries to explain it's all a misunderstanding, but the target isn't listening. The stolen briefcase, which caused all this trouble, is now his only shield.
Killed my wife.
He finds an opening, lands a heavy blow, and completely flips the script.
Dude, I don't even know you!
Ladybug grabs the briefcase and uses it to parry the next move. He collapses right in front of Ladybug, giving him a massive fright from the shock. Ladybug can't help but wonder what kind of deadly secret is inside this case. But he has no time to think. To cover his tracks, he has to handle the situation and pose the guy as a sleeping drunk. The train reaches the next station. Ladybug rushes toward the exit with the case, but just as he reaches the door, a familiar silhouette appears. The owner of the briefcase has arrived. Ladybug has to vanish immediately. Can he ever find a way off this unlucky train? A drunken woman makes a scene in front of a patrol car. The police arrest Leah, unaware that this is exactly what she wanted. Leah is too drunk and drowsy to be questioned. The police decide to let her sober up in a holding cell. That same night, A high-profile convict is brought in and held overnight. Meanwhile, a jail guard brings Leah a cup of sober-up tea. As soon as the lights go out, Leah, a top-tier assassin, instantly rises. She sheds her disguise and changes into dark clothes. She uses a hair clip to pick the lock on the cell door. She then swipes the teaspoon from the cup. After twisting a surveillance camera in the corner, she quietly moves to the water cooler. Finally, she sneaks into the electrical room. She sets a time trigger on the breaker box. Once the time is up, the power will automatically cut out. Leah then crawls into the electrical room's ventilation shaft. She climbs all the way to a high-powered fan, waiting for her water drip trigger to work. As soon as the spoon is full of water, the power will short. Leah plans to slip through the fan blades during the blackout, but the guard quickly notices the anomaly and flips the power back on. Just as Leah is passing through, the fan spins up again. She narrowly avoids disaster. Leah quickly slips into a restroom. The guard is caught off guard and tumbles to the ground. Leah uses the guard to trick the camera system. She successfully opens the high-profile convict's cell. Gunshots quickly alert the entire precinct. The entire facility goes into lockdown. But when the guards rush into Leah's cell, they find her still lying there, the same drunk woman they arrested. Driven by the desire for instant wealth, the professor recruits a team of robbers. They plan to execute a massive heist at the Royal Mint of Spain. There is only one road leading into the mint. Every week, an armored car travels this route. The hacker sets up an ambush here. He cuts off the communication system, leaving the escort police cars unable to contact the outside world. The rest of the crew subdues the police and the truck driver. They lock the victims inside the transport vehicle. Berlin changes into the police uniforms. They force another officer to drive. Since he is familiar to the Mint's security, the guards let them through without a thorough check. The hacker has already disabled the security alarm system. The robbers rush inside. Now, everyone inside the Mint has become a hostage. Meanwhile, another accomplice successfully pries open a small vault. Denver, seeing a huge amount of cash for the first time, can't help but roll around on it. But the money here is not their ultimate goal. The two robbers fill a few briefcases with cash. They then walk toward the building's entrance. The robbers assume a posture of readiness for a confrontation. However, they intentionally trigger the manual alarm. The police are instantly dispatched. 2 minutes later, the robbers rush out of the building, engaging the police head-on. They toss the briefcases aside. The crew retreats back into the building and seals the entrance. Their goal is to force the police to send in a negotiator, because the longer they stay inside the building, the more money they can print. The team of robbers has taken control of the Royal Mint of Spain. They force the employees to continue printing cash. Their reasoning is simple. The longer they delay, the more money they can ultimately print. Because so many people have been taken hostage, the police can only dispatch a negotiator, Raquel. The head of the robbers, the professor, answers the call. He calmly and politely warns the police that entering the building prematurely would have unthinkable consequences. The experienced Raquel advises the police to hold their position, but the colonel falls for the professor's setup. He immediately orders the Mint to be surrounded. That evening, armored vehicles and soldiers arrive at the scene. This site is exactly what the robbers were waiting for. It is an essential part of their plan. Meanwhile, inside the building, the robbers begin to manipulate the hostages. They force everyone to put on the same uniform that the crew is wearing. When one of the hostages objects, Denver makes an example of him.
Con la pistola. Una puta orden, apúntame, coño. Aquí, 10, 6, 7, 8.
The robbers then begin handing out fake weapons to the hostages. Trapped in fear, the hostages all comply with the orders. The police soon arrive at the entrance. They use a small camera to survey the interior. The police spot a group of people who appear to be robbers guarding the door. Just as the police are about to launch an assault, the negotiation team suddenly receives a call from a hostage. The situation immediately turns into a stalemate. Because they cannot distinguish the hostages from the robbers, the police are forced to halt the rescue operation.
The prisoner carved a hole in the ceiling, but just then, the guard began his rounds. To cover the damage, he first cracked the eggs into a bucket, then added shredded newspaper, and finally the lime, and mixed them all together. The guards had already walked upstairs, while the man kneaded the mixture into a square patch, perfectly shaped to seal the opening. They covered it with a poster, and at that exact moment, the guard stopped right outside the door. Everyone filed out, and the entire room was searched. The guard collected several posters, but left behind the one hiding the hole. When the guard finally left, the man and his partners had survived survived the scare, but the ceiling wasn't their escape route. The real plan was at the corner of the room. They were digging a tunnel 70 meters long. The problem is that this project would create nearly 60 tons of dirt with nowhere to put it. Then the man had an idea. The ceiling itself could be the perfect storage. Construction began. He even wired electricity into the tunnel, solving the lighting problem and speeding up the work. Day after day, they kept digging, and by early December, the tunnel was finally complete. To be safe, the man insisted on extending it another 9 meters. But as his partners kept working, a sudden rumble shook the ground. The noise grew louder, and the entire prison began to tremble.
A British fisherman found 3 gold coins. The coins held the secret map to an old pirate treasure. But the Spanish customs office suddenly surrounded them. They said the fishermen had entered Spanish waters illegally. The coins were strongly taken away and were locked in an underground vault. The fisherman was angry and refused to give up. He put together his own team of thieves. He decided to get the 3 gold coins back. To get into the vault, they need 2 keys and the manager's fingerprint. First, Teddy pretends to be an art expert and visits the bank. She successfully meets the security manager.
Nice to meet you.
Would you
Sure.
get seated?
Please wait.
With just 1 cup of coffee, she gets the manager's fingerprint. Then, she goes into his office. She uses a device to scan a famous painting. At the same time, a hacker teammate breaks into the security camera system. He records Teddy's actions. He plays the recording slowly and perfectly replaces the live bank video. No one in the security room notices anything wrong. This buys them valuable time. Teddy quickly finds the safe. She finds the first key. After the key is scanned, the data is transmitted to the hacker. He uses a 3D printer to make an exact copy of the key. Just as they copy the second key the same way, an alarm suddenly goes off in the bank. She does not have time to put the key back in the safe. A worker quickly calls her out of the office. As she runs down the stairs, she throws the keys down. A teammate catches them perfectly. Just as he runs back upstairs to put the keys away, a security guard suddenly opens the door. Can they still succeed in their plan? In broad daylight, the thieves drop down from the sky. They hang from ropes right over the bank roof. All 3 men are in place. They use suction cups to take out a glass panel. Their hacker teammate replaces the security camera feed with a looping video. The 3 men slide down ropes into the bank. Following their teammates' directions, they avoid the security guards. They crawl through the air vents toward the vault. They successfully reach the underground vault, but a deep hole blocks their way. Luckily, they came prepared. A simple bridge is set up. They climb across carefully, afraid to make any mistake. Soon, the 3 men reach the vault door. One man puts on a fake fingerprint. He successfully passes the finger scanner. Sean and Teddy take out their keys. They must turn the keys at the exact same time for the vault door to open. Finally, they see the stolen treasure box, but they do not step inside. Under the vault floor is a deadly trip-based scale. If the weight changes and the scale moves, a trap will start. Just then, a teammate sprays liquid nitrogen onto the scale. The bottom quickly freezes solid. Seeing the floor covered in ice, Sean slowly walks in. The scale needle does not move. The 3 men start looking for the gold coins. Just as Teddy finds the coins, the security team suddenly realizes something is wrong. They immediately send people to check the vault. As the thieves try to leave, one of the teammates suddenly turns against the others. Can they still get away safely?